Hey everybody, I'm Shaun Sidey. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. I'm here with my good client and friend Dawn Wu. We're going to be talking about her experience working with HealthNU today, and super excited to be having you. So thank you for coming on, Dawn. Appreciate you taking the time.
Sure, no problem. Happy to be here.
Awesome, cool. So let's get right into it. Just tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So, like Sean said, my name is Dawn Wu. I am a mom of three crazy kids. I have a 10-year-old, I have an 8-year-old, and a 6-year-old. I am a former salon business owner. My partner and I recently decided to stay home with our kids for a little while, but we owned a five-chair salon just outside of the Chicagoland area, and we ran a business there for the last 11 years. It's been great.
Amazing, cool. Yeah, it shows. That's why you have great hair.
Ah, thanks.
Okay, cool. So just tell me a little bit about like where were you at in your fitness journey before we started working together?
That's a loaded question. Um, so when I so in 2020 was like kind of crazy. Gabriel was 1 years old. The whole world was on fire. Obviously, we didn't know what was going on, and from there until you and I started working together in 2022, I was your basic run of the mill cardio by day, eating more calories by night. I thought if I could run a lot and exercise and keep my cardio in check, that I could just either maintain my weight. But the problem was, as I wasn't maintaining my weight, I was actually gaining weight at like a very rapid pace. And I think the stress of the overall running a business in COVID and all these things has just finally took a toll.
Mhm.
And I knew that I needed another resource to help get on track, or a plan in general, if you will, to actually start making the progress that I wanted to see.
Amazing. And can you tell us a little bit about like that physical and lifestyle transformation that you've had?
Sure. Um, before, how personal do you want me to get?
Yeah.
Or like before I started working with you and Health and You, Fred and I would come home, we would work, we would cook dinner, and then it was always like, oh, well, I ran 3 miles today, so let's go get some ice cream. And that was pretty much our life. It was either on the road, it was grabbing fast food, it was just like we were in survival. And when I knew that I needed to make that change, I didn't exactly know what I was looking for, but I knew that I needed something with structure, and I knew I needed to get a control of like get my eating habits like under control, because I felt like I was constantly snacking and doing stuff. So are you asking me before I came working with you where I was at, or
Yeah, like what kind of results have you noticed, I would say?
since I started working with you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So when I started working with you in November, I think I lost 10 pounds within like the first 3 weeks of just being on a structured um, meal plan and exercising and following that model. But I think the thing that was the biggest, I'll never forget this, was when you did a comparison. I remember when I was first eating my first plate of 1900 calories, and I was like, how am I going to get all this food down? And I think your comparison was, think about what you were eating if you went to like get like a Chipotle or a burger from McDonald's or something like that. That's like 2000 calories, and that food was very small, and the volume of food here is more vast and more plentiful for your body. It was like really changing my mindset in what I was taking in.
Hmm.
So once I started doing that, and I started to see that I was more satiated, I could go longer, I wasn't napping all the time, and I was starting to see results right away, I was bought in. So
He's hooked.
I was
Amazing.
hooked. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what would you say were like the three biggest struggles that you faced in trying to achieve results on your own, like before joining?
Um, well, I didn't know anything about like macros, and I don't think that you go a whole lot into that in the beginning. I think it's just really structuring on like your protein and your caloric intake and output. But I knew nothing about that. I knew nothing about prioritizing like protein first and then vegetables and certain things like that. I always ate just whatever was probably that tasted good the first and then filled up on that, and
Mhm.
then whatever was extra. Or if I had a drumstick,
Yeah.
that was sufficient enough to have, oh, I had chicken tonight. But when you think about what's on a chicken drumstick, there isn't really a whole lot of protein. So I think that was like a huge mindset shift into just like
Mhm.
incorporating in more protein. And then vegetables, like we ate vegetables, we always prioritized it, but not to the extent that even my family does now, still to this day.
Awesome. Cool. So, how specifically would you say our coaching specifically helped you overcome those struggles?
Well, accountability for sure, like your weekly accountability and check in. I, me personally, I'm a person that needs to be told, like, I'm a busy mom. I'm a busy mom. I was working, I was owned a business. I worked long hours. I need a roadmap. I needed to know
Yeah.
what to do every day. So even though towards the end, you gave us a little bit more of that freedom
Mhm.
by teaching us how to do it on our own. In the beginning, it was like very like this is how you need to do this. This is
Mhm.
how many times you need to go to the gym. This is how long you need to do cardio for. And I think having that like checklist of things, even if it wasn't perfect for a week, I still had a list and a roadmap that I needed to at least check off 90% of the time to see the results that I was able to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And like having those checklists, like even if you don't do it 100%, like you said, like if you can do it 80, 90% of the time, you're still going to get great results because it's not realistic to be 100% in life. Like just not going to happen. So that's totally normal. And I think because you embodied that of just having like that, do it at least 90% of the time, really try to hit those boxes every day, then that's why you're going to get great results. So what would you say life is now like since you've gone through your transformation and since joining?
It's interesting. Last year, obviously, situation with our family, we went through like a tragic loss, and we were just finishing up our time together,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't say that I like fell off the wagon, but I knew that I needed to scale back on that part of my life.
Mhm.
But in terms of food, and how we shop and how we prep our food, that has not changed. So that, like my kids, we always have a protein, vegetable, and a starch of some sort, whether
Mhm.
it's what of some variation, and it changes every week. And then if they go off and they might have something that I can't have, I'll always have food prepared. So we
Mhm.
still eat, I would say, probably about 80% the same. We still
Nice.
go to the grocery store the same. We still buy the same food. We still stack in the same amount of protein that I know I need for variation for the week, because otherwise you get bored.
Yeah, yeah.
And and then I'm just now getting back into more of the routine of my self care. So like back to my walking every day, and I just picked up a weighted vest, and back to getting back into the gym. But it's the tools that you guys had taught me that I knew. It's like, well, I mean, I don't need to go hire another coach. I just have to go back and rework through what I was already taught and modify where I need to modify for where I am today. And I can still get those same results.
Absolutely. And like that's the biggest thing that I believe that we try to teach is like foundational principles, because there will always be a million different reasons that people fall off, people get injured, people have different, like what you went through last year is awful, right? So for that, that's going to take anybody off track of like working out 4 times a week, 10,000 steps every day, perfect nutrition like you were doing, right? So the fact that you were able to still keep up with the nutrition really says about a lot about you and like how you turned it really into a lifestyle versus just like a diet or a program. And that's a big part of like what I like to teach is like if you just understand the fundamental principles of nutrition and understand like your macros and understand your nutrition, then you can make more calculated decisions. Then it just becomes like your normal routine. What would you say was your favorite part about us working together specifically?
Um, I mean, there's like a million reasons, but
Thanks.
I
Same.
think yeah, yeah. But I think we shared a lot of like-mindedness, like we were both in it for the goal. You being a business owner, like you also understand specifically what it's like to have the ups and downs in business. And I mean, when I came in, I think you were in business for a while, but you were still in a smaller part of your infancy toddler
Yeah,
phase, and now
100%.
you kind of are at that more mature phase of business. So you kind of get more of the struggles where I was like in that
Trenches.
mid growth trenches, yes, and
Yeah.
the ups and downs of all these things. And I feel like we were more relatable that way. You and I could go back and forth and like just bounce ideas off each other. If there was a
100%.
time period where I was like, I'm just gonna be honest with you. This is not gonna be a good week for me. There
Yeah.
wasn't like a feeling of judgment. Like I never felt like I was letting you down or that you were like scolding me in any way. It was just like, this is life. This is the reality of what's happening, and I'm just gonna be fully transparent. And I think sometimes we get in this rut where we feel that we have to be totally perfect and that we have to like make sure that we do all of these things. And my husband was a great support for that too. There was just certain times when he was like, you're just not going to get it in this week, and you just have to be okay with that. So there was a lot of things. There was probably a lot more, but
Cool.
those are my top favorite probably.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree, and I think that we definitely connected on a lot of things, especially during COVID time. So that was cool. All right. What does the next 6 to 12 months look like for you in terms of your own fitness journey and like what you're trying to accomplish?
Well, actually, so I'm actually currently in another program working with a specific doctor to break down some of the things that are going on with like my thyroid, but it's not really my thyroid. It's more what I've been exposed to. And the more deep, comprehensive testing that I've done, they've come forth and they're like, actually, hairdressers are one of the sickest people that we have just because of what they're exposed to chemical wise every single day. So, interestingly enough, the diet is very similar, but it's just changing the way that you eat certain things. So it's just like eating your greens first or your vegetables first, then your protein, and then your starches later, in that order, so that it's all about blood sugar stability. So
Gotcha.
that's my journey right now.
Yeah.
Same thing I have to do. My goal is still 10,000 steps a day. The other things that we're incorporating are sauna, cold plunging, like certain things like that to open up the detox pathways to start getting the metabolic system like working optimally. And the crazy part is like my kids, people already think I'm weird anyways because I do all these crazy things. But now my kids have bought in. So like now we
Good.
don't have a cold plunge, but a shower will work, like a really cold
Yeah,
shower.
of
And
course.
now my kids are in there like timing each other, like, how long can we stay in the cold shower for? And so it's interesting just having my kids be a part of this with us and seeing, my husband is a marathon runner. He does a lot of crazy stuff. But then also us prioritizing our health, I think it makes a huge difference for them as well.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm really excited for you to go through that. And I know that it's been like a long battle with you trying to like really fix all that stuff going on. So I know that you'll get it because you are persistent.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm almost 2 weeks through the first phase, which is like an autoimmune protocol. And I feel like, wow, it's almost been a month that I've started this, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in 9 months. Actually, I'm interested to see what happens with my labs in 3 months.
Yeah. Well, keep me updated.
Yeah, I will.
How would you say that your fitness and health transformation has impacted your life outside of fitness?
Well, I mean, I feel when I started this whole journey in like a deep dive, it was everything like removing toxic stuff out of my life, products, stuff like that. So people always consider me like the hooey one, and my friends, they always laugh like, "Oh, I'm sure Dawn's got it." I think it just bleeds into like every aspect of my life.
Mhm.
I I don't have any parents left. I'm 40, gonna be 44 years old. I need to be here for my children and I need to be the healthiest version of myself for my kids. And I think about all the things that have changed in my life in like a very short period of time. The things that I used to struggle with, instant acne, scar, like all kinds of stuff, skin rashes, all these things. If I knew then what I know now, and that our bodies really are made to heal, we are healing organisms. We have the ability to do that by giving it the right fuel, by treating it well. Um, and I feel like there are sometimes I meet people and I'm like, nope, you were not invited into this conversation. So just scale back and just listen. Do not offer any advice. But I feel like that is some certain things you just want to scream from the mountaintops. And I'm happy for my children that when we start to go through things and as Lily starts to get up into her preteens, there's going to be ways to be able to say to her, like, you know what, you could change that if you make a little bit of a different decision. And I think starting them, so like what's been almost 3 years since we started working together, Lily's so much further along from where she's come at 7 than where she is today. And so are my other two. So there is something to be said about starting them young
Yeah, and they're
in a
crushing
lot of
it in their
ways.
own respective sports and stuff. I see online, so that's cool too.
Yeah, yeah. We're active and healthy and we don't, like we don't, we're those parents, like we don't let them have a ton of um screen time, and there's just no need for it. You don't need it. It doesn't do you any good anyways. So there, we have this giant earth outside. It's like a human gym. Go play in it. Go do the things that we can do in it.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. So for anyone watching this who is maybe struggling in their own journey right now, like what's one thing that they should do today to get started?
I mean, I think you have to make a commitment to yourself. I mean, either you want to or you don't want to. So we could come up with a million excuses. And I know a lot of times, and I'm just going to put it out there because as a small business owner, like it's always the first thing when you do someone's hair or anything, it's like, well, how much does it cost? Well, how much is your health worth? So for me, like I remember my mom saying to me, I don't know what you paid Shaun for, whatever, but it's a drop in the bucket for your health today than it is what you're going to pay for it later. So I think sometimes people need to stop and like, what is your health worth? Like how is it just like you want it for your physique and things like that? Like I get that. But is it big enough to keep you going? And for
Sure.
me, it was like a total health transformation. Like I knew I was like, I'm very not healthy right now. So I didn't care what it cost. I didn't, I, it, I don't even think I asked. I was like, okay, where do I sign? And I'm
Yeah.
like that all the time, even with Fred, like even with this program I'm in now, it's like, I know this is going to cost, but we're either going to pay for it now or I'm going to pay for it later. So where are we at to fix it? So I think people need to get right in their head, and you really need to decide like, what is it that you really want in your life, and what is it your biggest priority? Because if it's just to like lose weight, it's not going to be big enough of a driver for you. It has to be bigger than that. Your reasons have to be bigger, and I think your reasons have to continue to change. Mine keeps changing and evolving. Every time I get to that goal, I'm like, you got to have another goal,
Yeah, you
and
hit
you
a
got to
next
have
level.
and you got to keep leveling up in that way, so that we can keep teaching our kids how to do that as they get older too, and they have to come into some of these changes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. If somebody was like watching this and they're on the fence about joining, like what would you say to them to get them to get started?
How long have you been trying to do this on your own? I mean, if you're trying to do it on your own and you've gotten to a certain point and you've plateaued, I think it's always that anything in life you need a coach or something to level up. I've had lots of business coaches, I've had lots of personal development coaches, and I've had fitness coaches. So I think at some point it's like, yes, you can move the needle so far on your own, but you at some point you just need help. And at
Yeah.
some point you just need somebody to also hold you accountable. Because if you're just holding yourself to the fire, and it's like, well, I don't really need to do that workout today. because it's just me. Or I can have the piece of pizza today because it's no one's holding me accountable. But if somebody is there actually holding you accountable day in and day out, that like, I don't want to eat that because he's going to see that or they're going to see that. And then I'm going to know about it. Or if I skip that workout, what's my excuse going to be? Because you can only skip so many. You can only
Yeah.
have so many reasons a week that you're like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I was so
exactly.
exhausted. So if you're on the fence, how long have you been doing this on your own? And is it time to maybe invest to have some more control over that?
Love that. Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate you taking the time to hop on. It's been great chatting with you, as it always is. So thank you again. I hope you're having a great day, and talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks.